I wonder where they left it.
I'll go check the front door since I have a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Looks like the YouTube is working tonight, everybody, so that's good.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm going to test my audio again. Kate, do I sound okay?
Yep, you sound fine.
Okay.
Sarah, you sound fabulous. You sound
Thank you.
fabulous.
I've been working on my diction and my tone.
Good.
Yeah, I'm all queued up here to mute on my iPad and call in on my phone if we start getting that feedback. Kate, you okay to just kind of go over your narrative at the beginning?
Yes.
All right. Are there, have we received any questions from the public or any call-ins or anything?
No, we have not.
Okay.
There was a phone number on here earlier, maybe 10 minutes ago. Looks like they are no longer in the meeting, but I was not sure who that was. So if they come back in and raise their hand, I will let you know. But
Okay.
Yeah, they chose the front door this time. So I have it.
We got Anthony and Ben. Good evening, fellas.
Where did these go in the budget book?
Double teaming you tonight, Steve.
All right.
Hey, Captain Universe.
Still 5 against 2.
So I'm just gonna keep these out for now, right?
Yeah, they can stay out, except for there's one at the bottom of that packet that is grants and contribution request that can just go into your notebook because we won't do that till next week.
Okay.
Shall we begin?
Wastewater management. That goes in.
Well, depending. Is this going on YouTube as well?
yep,
Or is
it's live right now.
So we're good? Okay.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is whatever day of the week it is. It is Monday. It is March. It is the first day of March of the year 2021. This is our first public budget workshop. We will do our best to get through as much of this as we can with some goal of 2-ish hours. We'll see how continue. We'll see where we're at by 8, and depending on where that is, we can just decide whether we want to move forward. We do have another budget. The second budget workshop is 1 week from this evening. If everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, then we can get on with the business. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it
for which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Righty. So I'm going to hand it over to Manager Michaud to sort of talk us through the narrative that she delivered today. As I understand, everybody has in fact received their packets and had the opportunity to at least set eyes on them. I've got a table full of sheets and pages that we will get through tonight. And I think we'll try to do our best to make the best of a very unknown situation. So with that, Manager Michaud, take it away.
Good evening. So just to summarize, as you see in the cover sheet, the budget that I'm presenting to you represents a tax rate increase of 1.5%, a tax levy increase of 3.03%. As you know, we're limited to a 4% tax levy increase by law. There's a lot of caveats that go along with that proposed budget that you received today. The biggest one is that our biggest line item, which is the Bristol Warren Regional School District contribution, has not been finalized, and the school department just forwarded the budget request to the JFC Friday afternoon. If the budget request dollar amount that they are seeking were to be incorporated into this budget, then that would translate to a 6.85% increase in the school's budget, and that would require some really considerable cuts on the municipal side in order to come under that 4% cap. One of the major factors in that calculation is the formula aid from the state. As you'll see on page 1 of the memo, the town of Warren, based on preliminary figures that were released in November, is set to lose 10.62% in state aid formula aid. That's an overall reduction to the school district of 10.17% in formula aid. Now, those numbers are very preliminary. As I said, they were released in November. There is no state budget proposal. Usually at this point in time, you already have the governor's proposed budget. It's usually released to the legislature in January. This year, that state budget has been postponed until March 11th. And from what I understand, there's a possibility that it could get postponed even further. So the state aid figures that we're working off of and that the school department's working off of are very tentative and subject to change. And there's some factors that play into that, and you'll see on page 2. One of them is legislation that's been introduced this year. As I just heard the other day, 530 bills were introduced into the legislature last week. One of those bills was proposed by the Rhode Island Department of Education, and that affects formula aid that's based on enrollment. Typically, the current year enrollment is what's used to calculate the formula aid. What's been proposed in the legislation that was introduced by RIDE is that the current year would be disregarded, and instead they would use the average of the prior 3 years as the basis for the formula aid calculation. That would be beneficial because we've had reduced student enrollment over the past few years. But it's, as I said, there's many bills that have been introduced and we don't know what the legislature is going to act on and what they are not going to act on. Two other factors that play in are the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, which is the federal stimulus bill that was passed by Congress in December and signed by the president on December 27th, 2020. That act includes $54 billion in funding for K-12 education, and we have not received any information about how those funds will be distributed. So there's funds out there as part of that stimulus package that have not yet been distributed to any of the school districts, and we don't know the formula or method by which they will be distributed or how much we're set to receive. And then the other major factor is the stimulus package that's currently under review by the U.S. Senate. It passed the U.S. House of Representatives last Friday. It's a $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which includes direct funding to state and local governments, as well as funding for K-12 schools. If that's approved, it will have a very significant impact on both the municipal budget and the school budget. At this point, we do not know if it will be approved, and if it is approved, what the final form will be. And then one final point of uncertainty is our insurance costs. We have not received any estimates from our insurance carriers. Usually by this point, we have at least some kind of a draft estimate from them, but we have not received anything yet. So the insurance figures that you see in the budget are based on past experience, but certainly they could be higher or lower. I think we've assumed somewhere around 5%. The school department's assuming 10% in their budget, but nobody has received any actual estimates from our insurance carrier. So that is just a summary of kind of the reasons why the budget that you're looking at right now is subject to wide variation based on what's going to happen over the next few weeks, especially. My recommendation at this point is that we continue to review the department budgets, the budget requests and the cuts that I've made, and I have made a lot. Overall, the municipal side expenditures, I'm proposing to reduce overall expenditures by 4.54% over last year's expenditures. And as you'll see in the department budgets, I cut just about everybody to try to get this budget down to as close to the bone as it can be without having service cuts. So I would suggest at this point and recommend that the council postpone making any real decisions as far as the department budgets and totals, because I think there's a good chance that our assumptions could change. They could change for the better and they could change for the worse. And I would hate to see you make any decisions on things and then have to come back and rework all of your approvals because the conditions have changed. So it's a rather bleak budget year. I think we all knew it was going to be. And here we are. I think at this point, I think it would be beneficial if Anthony could describe for us some of the flexibility that you have in timing of budgets because of legislation that was approved last year by the Rhode Island legislature.
Thank you. You remember that there was these issues cropped up last year, and the General Assembly acted and passed a bill actually on June 24th, 2020, and it is embodied now in section 45-2-3.2. And that's because, you know, cities and towns, everybody has a little bit of a different way that they enact their budgets, but it all comes down to the same point. And you don't really have enough information now to start making decisions based on the timeline in the charter. Subsection D of that section allows the chief executive officer of a city or town or fire district to extend, move, or continue any and all budget adoption procedures. In this instance, though, I think it's advisable if the town council passed a resolution to that effect. So that the budget timeline for this fiscal year is a more appropriate and reasonable method for enacting the budget this year. You know, this law also allows for the budget to be enacted after the July 1st deadline. That's something that you can look at too. I think that's going to be more of a game time decision than anything else. But the basic thing that I want to convey tonight is that there is a statutory framework over and above the statutes that I cited to you last year when we discussed this, which allows you to tailor your budget schedule to fit when the information and when the data comes in that you're going to need to actually enact the budget. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What exactly what is it you're asking us to do?
Not asking you to do anything tonight, but Joe, what I'm but I'm telling you is that since the state is almost certainly going to be delayed, since I'm sure that there will be some type of a holdup to determine what, if anything, passes in Washington in regard to state and local budgets and whether or not there'll be any relief in this package that's going through the Congress right now. Because of that, you do not have to adhere to the timelines that are set forth in the charter. You will have the flexibility to change those, the budget adoption procedure to fit the circumstances at the time, you know, in the next couple months.
All right, and that's a resolution on March's agenda?
Well, I think that's actually something you'll all have to decide, but I'd recommend that you do discuss it at that time.
Got it. Thank you.
So an agenda item for March could be discussion of a either potential resolution or reworking the budget timeline, budget approval timeline, based on the information that we are waiting for from the state and the feds.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So the governor, or we're supposed to get the state budget by now the 11th, they're saying, maybe?
Well, that will be the governor's proposed budget,
Right.
but it's already, that means that the General Assembly is already behind schedule in adopting the final budget, which comes in. And the difficulty is going to be, in the past, you've based budgetary decisions on estimates for line items contained in the governor's budget and also where it is in the legislative process. That will be delayed this year. And I think that's the reason that I bring up this law that was just passed last year for circumstances like this.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
I know Kate said to hold off on, because normally we would go through these and then finalize each department. What would the proper process be? If we make changes to a line item, take a vote on that, but not vote on the complete package as we go along? In other words, instead of, we used to make changes and then say, for instance, we would approve the town clerk's budget. Are we not going to do that tonight? We're just going to make changes and hold off on approving it? Is that what she suggested, I think?
That is what I would suggest at this point.
Okay.
So we can do at the end of each chunk. So for instance, general government is first. At the end of that, we can go line by line, discuss each line at the end of it, kind of have a conditional amount that we agree on. And then we can, when we have more information to go on, we can go back and adjust and either increase, decrease, or stick with what we've got.
Okay.
That makes sense, Councilman Hecker?
So essentially, we're taking our best guess here based on the manager's recommendation, but it could all change. Could all change dramatically. So
It is gonna all change. It's
I mean,
guaranteed.
But I guess at least we'll have an idea of where we're at going through this budget line by line. We have an idea, so it's helpful, obviously.
Just think of it this way: even if nothing happens outside of the state at the federal level, the school budget is going to impact us, and we don't even know what that is, and they're dependent on outside aid as well. So it's definitely going to change.
I think the most valuable thing you can get at this point is an understanding of what the department heads are requesting and why they requested it.
Yep, where we're at.
Exactly. So with that, are there any other questions or clarifications? Because we can just start on this first page that has general government and go sort of line by line. I think they're just glancing at it. There are a couple of obvious increases that are in fact discussed in the manager's narrative. But it would be nice to just talk about those publicly for anybody who doesn't have access to that document.
Ms. Curran,
Excuse me?
if I could ask one question before we begin.
Yes.
How are we going to deal with the public's participation?
There is nobody, or there was nobody on the line prior to the beginning of this meeting from the public. If somebody from the public joins the meeting, raises their hand and has a question, that will show up in the chat box, and we can address that as needed.
All right, I couldn't see on my on my screen. It says 26 people. I didn't know if that was public or not.
So I'm looking at that and.
There's 14 people in the
there-
attendees. Most of them are department heads
Yeah,
in the media.
Yeah,
All
there's a reporter, there's some members of the public, members of the school committee, and department heads on the line who are participating. So if there are questions from that group, they can type them into the chat box, and I'll try to keep an eye on that as well. Either the clerk, or either Sandy or Haley or Bob, whomever is also watching that, can let us know if we miss it. So
Madam President, I'll manage that.
thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So we can start. I vote that in the future we increase the font size by about double. I know that will be more paper, which goes against my values too, but
Harry, you were reading my mind.
holy cow.
I have my magnifying glass.
I was gonna say, just get stronger glasses.
Yeah, overdue.
You need a telescope. The font is ridiculous. And the stuff we get from the school department's even worse.
So you can, in fact, with your screen, well, I can, I've got an iPad here. I can open it up and see it more clearly, but I think we got the basic gist of it. So unless anybody has a better suggestion, I'm just going to go line by line. So our first line is, or we could just look at that. That first line is shared service, Social Security, Medicare. That's a 2.9% proposed increase, or 2.19% proposed increase, which I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for that. That doesn't seem out of line.
It's only
Below-
$9,000 on 432. So, I mean, you know.
Sure, it's contractual.
That's based on an actual calculation that Fung performed.
Okay, so Kate and or Fung appreciate coming in and explaining things if you think there's something really critical that needs to be shared. The shared service line is up 5%, so that's an insurance cost. How is that connected to the insurance numbers that we don't yet have? That's just a predicted, that's your best guess?
Right, that's a total estimate. We have not received any documentation from our insurance carriers at this point.
Okay, there was a memo on the next line from the League of Cities and Towns as to the increase in their dues. So 5.01% comes out to, a couple $100. And then down to the shared service, the attendance premium. So you did address that in your narrative. Perhaps you want to talk a little bit about that for the public.
Sure, that's to fund the expenses that we incur when employees retire, especially employees that have been with the town for a long time. So we're anticipating a couple of retirements in the upcoming fiscal year. And we had one retirement in the current fiscal year that chose to get paid out over 2 years. So part of that number is payment number 2 to that employee, and the other part is the anticipated payments that'll be due to the retiring employees in fiscal year 22.
And when do you have those conversations, or do you anticipate having conversations of bringing those payments out over the course of time, or do you anticipate that's going to be lump sums?
That number that you see is anticipating breaking it up into at least a couple of payments.
Okay.
But we have those conversations with the employees on an ongoing basis. I don't have any solid retirement. No one's issued me a letter and said that this is my date of retirement. But so again, it's an estimate, but this is based on the discussions that we've had to date.
Okay. For those on the line, the The request is 160,000, which is up from 70,000 in the prior budget year. It's 128.57% increase, which is $90,000. So that just jumps off the page. The next line is shared service, computer service website. That's up 33.41%.
And we consolidated a few of the other computer accounts because we had some departments that were carrying their own computer accounts. So we zeroed out or deleted those accounts and consolidated into a single account. And this is based on what we've been paying to date for both our computer services, our website hosting, and our offsite backup. I should note that we are preparing to go out to bid for IT services. So again, this number could change, but the hope is that if anything, it would come down. But you'll see throughout the budget, there's other line items that have been zeroed out or reduced that are related.
Okay, so that will be offset in other places by zeros. Okay. Shared service employee benefits up 2.18%. I'll just mention the increases. Longevity 0.70%. And then a few lines down is the retiree benefit adjustment, which is a decrease. So that decrease of 20.41% is explained by?
That's just an actual calculation. It's a pretty small number in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's just a retiree. That's an adjustment that's for currently a retiree that we currently have.
Same with the few lines down with the pension costs that are reduced.
Fung, did you want to comment on the pension costs?
Yes, the retiree benefit adjustment, that is for very old employees. These are not like, they're probably like 10, 20 years ago that we had COLA payment from the town. As they pass away, then we don't have to issue payment anymore. So that number keeps going down.
It's a big number.
Okay.
It's a big number. It's good.
That's for the retiree benefit adjustment, the one that's 3683. The town employee pension cost, that is the MERS contribution.
MERS and TIA, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down considerably.
Because the rate from MERS, the police side went down in terms of percentage.
Okay. And then a few lines down.
Madam President, may I just ask a quick question on that?
You may, Councilman Kalenda will speak.
Thank you. Hey, Kate and Fung, we're just making sure that we're making our obligation percentages to those MERS pensions, so we don't get in trouble by not, funding it completely, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
And then a few lines down under unemployment reserve, thanks. Unemployment reserve goes from 15,000 to 10,000, which is a 33.33% reduction. And that gets the total general government budget from an increase of 3.17%. So there are many lines that were not discussed that were 0% increase or decrease. So they've remained the same for anybody who's listening. Any discussion on that amount, that percentage increase, and the total amount increase?
Doesn't seem like there's much we can do. We're
Pretty
obligated.
much. Pretty much. So for anybody listening, the manager request or the department request was 4,748,445. The manager request is 4,743,715. Which is a 3.17% increase. So if we all agree that for the time being, this looks good, we'll go on to the next page. Tony, that's okay, or Ben, that's okay. As we discussed previously, we're not doing official votes, so I would rely on either of you as legal counsel or members of the council to pipe up and say, further discussion, or I think you should do something further.
We can do a motion to approve. It's just gonna only hold us until the next budget meeting.
If the motion to approve, if there is to be such a motion, I'd recommend that the motion would be a tentative approval pending further information.
So moved. $4,743,715.
So we have a motion from Councilman DePasquale to approve the general government total budget request at $4,743,715. Do we have a tentative amount? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Kalenda has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So the next page, 2 of 10, this actually, no, boards and commissions, we are going to, sorry, I'm going to just take a little organizational pause here. So we did receive with our packet today a budget review sort of checklist. So I'm going to check off now shared services. The next, on the next page, top of page 2 of 10 is boards and commissions. We will do those next week. So we are going to skip boards and commissions and move on to the building official. And we have my ruler back. So there is a proposed 2% increase in the wages and salaries. So now we are getting into salary lines. This is non-union. There is another general office expense requested increase of 2% and a outside services increase of 2%. Plumbing and electrical inspectors increase. Code enforcement inspector increase of 2% and a total of 1.52% increase overall. I believe that the building inspector is on, or the building official is on the line. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Carvalho?
No.
Looks good to me.
Again, Mr. Cavallo had higher requests, as you'll see in column Q. But in order to try to reduce the bottom line, I did make some suggested reductions to his request.
Yes, you did.
Q. Oh, department request. Got it. Q on the screen. I got it.
So do we have a tentative motion to approve the official building, the building officials budget?
Anthony, again, the language is contingent on future impact.
Tentative is the word.
I recommend that the motion be for a tentative approval pending the receipt of further information.
Motion to approve tentative approval if we receive future information.
So we have a motion from Councilman DePasquale as just stated. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Councilman Kalenda. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right.
We didn't state the amount in the.
Oh.
So I don't know if this, I'm not sure if for the public transcript, I mean, might want to.
The manager's request of 160,271.
Thank you.
So amended. All right.
Thank you,
Moving
Brett.
on to the town clerk budget. The first line again is wages and salary non-union. There's a 2% budget request increase. The manager and the department match up there. the deputy clerk salary 2% increase, the Board of Canvassers non-union wages a 2% increase, election officials wages and salaries non-union, there is a decrease of 65%, going from 20,000 down to 7,000, and I think that probably is because we're not in an election year any longer. Town clerk general office expense, oh, nothing there. Again, canvasser expenses, that's a few lines down, is a decrease of 48% from 12,500 to 6,500. I apologize, the line above that is the probate judge, a 2% increase in that cost. And redistricting, that's a new line item. That is $15,000. Either Clerk Speroni or Manager Michaud, you want to just give a brief on that?
Sure. The town clerk requested the 15,000. After the census is performed every 10 years, there is a redistricting process that happens with the voting districts. And there is a great deal of technical work that goes into that redistricting process. So the 15,000 is requested to hire professional assistants to complete the necessary work that we have to do to comply with the federal requirements and the state requirements.
Okay, and as was explained and described by Fung last year in the budget process, because this is a new line item of 15,000, it doesn't impact the percent increase or decrease to that budget, but it does impact the amount that is over or under the previous year's budget. As it stands, the budget is decreased by 0.44%.
Madam President,
Yes.
a little more clarification on the redistricting. Does that actually mean drawing new lines possibly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's doing that?
Sandy, would you?
Result of the census.
Yep, it's based on the census data that we'll be receiving in April. I don't
They'll
see
start it.
Sandy. There she is.
Started in April, but he said by the time the state, he gets all the information from the state and everything, it most likely will be a little bit later. He's actually he will be working with us if approved, and the town of Barrington, and I believe the town of Bristol, but he's pretty good at, Kim Brace, that everybody he's well known. But he's just waiting on, just like us, as far as the state.
Okay.
Could this redistricting have any impact on our representation or the districts that our representatives and, well, that our representatives are cover?
It would.
Yes, it could.
Okay. So it could potentially shrink one and grow the other in Warren?
It could, and
straddled.
Eventually it's a legislative decision how those lines get drawn at the end of the day. So what our role is to take the census data and verify it and provide the necessary documentation to the legislature, but we won't be the ones who actually decide where those legislative districts are.
It's also dependent on the expansion and contraction of other communities.
Correct.
I only ask because I know redistricting is sort of a controversial issue. So just wonder about that. And so it's a legislative issue, which is, so I get it. I get who's going to control the redistricting, so to speak. So just wondering. But that's nice that we're offsetting that 15,000 with the savings between the election officials' wages and salary and the canvassers' expenses. We're more than offsetting that 15, which is kind of nice. So,
Right, and we do have to keep some funding in the budget for canvassers and for election officials, just in case there is a referendum.
right.
It's not, even though there's not an election, we could still have a budget referendum, which has a cost associated with it.
Kate, do you have something on in your office that's listening, hearing the microphone? When you talk.
Carrie, this is the same issue we had this morning.
All right, so should I mute and dial in?
Not you,
Is that-
Carrie.
It's me, it's my fault. All right.
But I don't hear it when you talk.
Yeah, it's not your issue, Carrie. It's
This
Kate Michelle's.
We had this happen this morning when Kate talks. Like, it's back. Here's an echo.
So should this will require me to do a few like button pushes and whatnot. Is this super distracting or is it, can you?
There's a big delay and I can't really hear her words.
So maybe I've transferred my microphone issues to Kate.
Let's see if this works better. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
that was
Is that
perfect.
better?
Yep.
We'll
Okay,
try it that way.
Problem solved. All right, so do we have a motion to tentatively accept providing new or conditionally upon new information being available, the manager's request of $309,740?
Yes, I'll give a tentative second.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Next, we have Municipal Court. The Municipal Court judge, as the previous judge, the probate judge, is looking at a 2% increase. The clerk's a 2% increase as well. Municipal court expenses are projected to, are being reduced from 2,700 to 1,700. That's a 37.04% reduction. That is at your discretion, Kate, or is that just based on what they spent and what appears they need?
That's based on their needs.
Okay. Municipal court computer services is.
I have a question on that line item. That
Go
seems
ahead.
awful. That seems awful high for a part-time court to have $7,500 worth of computer services. Is that
It's
the
the
contract?
software. It's
Can I
the,
speak on
yeah.
it?
Oh, sure.
Okay, according to the department request, that line actually consists of office expense and out of office police tickets. And this year's request, they withdraw the police ticket request. So that's why it's
Okay.
only 17.
No, the one I'm questioning about is 7,500 for computer services.
Right, so that's the software that they use to write the tickets and to adjudicate the tickets. So that's the
Okay.
software system that works with the DMV software.
Okay, good.
Can I
So
ask,
is this,
Madam President?
yes, Councilman Kalenda, go ahead.
Thanks. Hey, Kate, monies from those tickets, speeding, stoplight violations, stop sign violations, those monies come back to the town, not all of it, but in our municipal court, we should get some revenues from that. Shouldn't that offset that 7,500?
Yep, by a lot. Yeah, you'll see when we get to non-tax revenues, there's a line item. And we do take in considerably more than we spend.
And I don't remember what the split is. I've been out of the game for a little while, but the split actually is pretty considerable to the municipalities.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around 60-40.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Carrie.
Mhm.
We have it in a revenue line, don't we?
Well, Joe, the monies come back into the general fund, but I know they offset those expenses. You know, the state mandated that every police department had to go to the e-ticket. So I know they were kicking back some of the funds to help offset the cost.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is the compute, that's right. It's attached to the computer programs,
Correct,
the e-ticket. Got it.
correct. Thank you.
And that's
Alrighty,
why
do-
we're stuck with that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
unfortunately- Yeah, unfortunately, we're beholden to it. It's a marriage.
Alrighty, do we have a motion to approve the $48,542 municipal court budget tentatively?
So moved.
Yes, so moved.
So we have a motion by Councilman Kalenda, a second by Councilman Di Pasquale, all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty, check and check. Harbor Master is next. We're seeing again 2% wage increase. We have a new line, Harbor Master operating expense, restrooms. So that's a $14,400 expense. I know that there have been a lot of expenses put on hold due to budget constraints. I think this is a smart one to include, given the time that we've invested in the harbor or the waterfront. So that does not impact the percentage, or does it impact the percentage increase? Okay.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. Did you say that you want to put that on hold?
No. I said that the manager has cut a number of items, a number of department requests, but this one it was the department request and has been passed along by the manager, which I think makes sense.
Well, it's contractual in regards to having the marina, and there are potential changes taking place at the waterfront outside of our control or in our control. So I'm sure the harbor master can speak on that if anyone is interested.
And you'll see in your books, I included an email explanation from the harbor master as to how he came about that budget figure. He's also on the call right now if you have questions.
I do remember the revenue from the moorings and the slips have increased pretty substantially, if I'm not mistaken, which is a good sign.
Yeah, so this year, potentially the slips this year, revenue-wise, just the slips at the town wharf will be around 42,000 in revenue.
Yes, thank you. I remember that.
Any other questions for our harbor master, Ed Cabral? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to accept tentatively the amount of $67,726 pending any further information for
So
the?
moved.
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion. We'll call Di Pasquale the motion and Councilman Hecker the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty, that budget. Check. Next, we have town manager. So as previously discussed and approved, the wage increase in the town manager's office is a 3%. The part-time clerk under town manager is a 2% increase. And then going down to clerks or overtime, USW all buildings. So those are the steelworkers union employees. That has reduced by 125. Can you just talk a little bit about that, Kate?
Honestly, it's not that we don't need it. It's just something that we're going to have to do without. I was trying to take a little bit from anywhere that I could, based on what we've spent year to date and what we usually spend. We will certainly look at any opportunities that we have to fund overtime through other funding sources such as FEMA. But at this point, it's something that I felt we needed to. Even though it's just a little small amount of money, It's just another reduction to add to the bottom line.
Which line are you on?
Overtime.
So next to the last line item on that.
Oh, clerk's
Town
overtime.
manager.
Yep.
Got
Under
it.
And then the
town
web-
manager.
Yep. And then the website just folds into that computer services line. So that's not actually a reduction. That's just a relocation of those expenses.
Oh, thank you. I was going to ask you about that. So because the website does require obviously maintenance and upkeep.
Right. So I actually am functioning as really the webmaster right now with the help of the ladies in the clerk's office. But that's the 3,000 is what we actually pay the hosting company that has to host the site for us.
Okay.
Any other questions for the manager?
And should that be in the manager's budget?
The website,
Yes,
we're taking it out.
thank you. Oh, hence the minus 100%. Got it.
Yep.
Correct.
So do we have any other questions? All righty, so we're looking for a motion for $204,562 to tentatively approve, pending any further information, the town manager's budget.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, so Councilman Di Pasquale has made the motion and Councilman Kalenda has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have tentatively passed the town manager's budget. Moving on, town offices. Council wages, those have remained flat.
Now, you remember that last year, if I might, that we did the 2% increase for the council wages and it turned out to be very
Charter
very
violation.
complicated. I didn't include anything. You're free to change that as you see fit, obviously, but I didn't attempt to make that calculation of how that would get done.
The optics
don't
on
think
that
we
would not be
can.
good.
Any changes we make, we can't get in our current term anyway, per the charter. So
Yeah, so maybe next budget cycle, we can bump it up for whomever the future, whatever the future council may be. Anyway, there's a new line for Charter Commission. And they have requested $4,500. That's for administrative, clerk, secretarial support that has never been provided the Charter Review Commission. I'm guessing that this, or I'm not guessing, this would be a line item that would only be happen in years when we are going through a charter review. Would it make sense in the following budgets to maybe make that a smaller amount or just kind of parse it out over a few years? And then, so it's available for the commission when we, in 8 years or 10 years, when we need to do it again?
I think we have to do it every 5 years. Isn't it every a charter review? 4?
In the charter,
I'm sorry, 6 years.
6 years, okay.
6 years. All right.
So it's so minimal. Just leave it
Yeah.
the way it is. I have a question for the somebody with an active computer. How much did we spend out of the council contingency in last year's budget?
It was like 16, or what did we spend? Or what did
Yeah,
we,
in other words,
what, or
we're
what did we-
allocating 16. What did we spend?
Kate,
Anybody
you and
know?
I discussed that recently. Wasn't it in the 9,000 range?
All right, that's fine. I don't have to know exactly. I just wanted to know how roundabout.
Yeah, so I approved it for, how did we do that, Kate? We said we'd put it in the budget, but did I approve an amount from the contingency fund? Having
Yes, you did, for the remainder of the current fiscal year, you did approve utilizing some of those contingency funds to support the Charter Commission.
okay. Alrighty, so planning, zoning, solicitor, that's a 2% increase. Solicitor wages, salaries, non-union, that's a 2% increase. And what was that? Nothing. And then tree warden, a 2% increase. There is a new, oh no, that's 0. Any questions there for town offices?
Motion to approve what's our slogan? So moved.
There is a motion to tentatively approve the town offices budget of $164,979 pending any further information. Do we have from Councilman DePasquale? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kalenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We can check off the town offices budget. Next, we go to the planner.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Would you mind if I, and Ben actually, to leave the meeting so that we can attend the Charter Commission?
Well, seeing as we've paid for it, you may.
Okay, thank you.
Will you be returning? Do you anticipate returning?
I don't know how long it's going to go, but I'll check back on this Zoom.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let the record reflect at 6:53, we are on our own from a legal standpoint. Next, we have planner. So first line is wages. That's 2%, consistent with the rest. Town planner, general, and office. So we have a considerable increase of 71.43%. That was $1,750 in 2021 budget, and a request of $3,500 gone to $3,000. So maybe the planner, Mr. Rulli, can just tell us what that is.
Sure. Since we are required to hold meetings remotely, the planning board and the zoning board meetings are being streamed on their own YouTube channel. And that's the fee for clerk base to facilitate that.
Okay.
So I know, can I have a question, a follow-up on that is you requested essentially $1,750 in addition to your original to 35, and the manager's recommending 3. Can you absorb that $500?
We might have to borrow some of that because we're also streaming for the zoning board. We might have to absorb the difference through them. If there's a month that we don't have a meeting for whatever reason. But I mean, the additional cost is exactly what they're billing us.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's not it's out of your hands, really. It's the expense has to be incurred.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And what do we anticipate for the post-COVID world where our boards and commissions and council are meeting back in council chambers, but we'll still be streaming our meetings on YouTube, or will we be? This seems to be a successful thing.
My sense is that the public will still have the option to participate remotely. I don't think, and as such, I mean, I think both for the council and for planning and zoning, having them on the YouTube channel, regularly, there seems to be 60 to 70 people that actually watch these.
If there's 60 to 70 people and you divide that through the course of the year, how much is it costing us for 70 people to watch this?
Well, per month, not annually.
Well, annually, it's $3,500, correct?
Yep. So if you took 600 into that number.
So annually it's 1,500. So the budget that you see, the request for 3,500 is 2,000 for general office expenses and 1,500 for clerk base.
Oh, so it's 1,500.
Right. So what I'm suggesting is we reduce that to 3,000, which would mean that you still have the 1,500 for clerk base, but Bob's general and office general supplies to be reduced to 1,500.
And
And I
if
base
50
that
people,
on current expenditures to
and if
date.
50 people a month are watching it, the end of the year, it's what, $3 a person if it's every month?
And if, I don't think we're gonna have a choice, once the state makes a decision as to what's gonna happen, I think we're gonna be required either to have it or not to have it.
Really?
There's arguments on both sides that I've heard.
Interesting. So we couldn't continue to do that as a public service?
I think we could continue to stream it, but as far as public participation remotely, that has to be enabled by the legislature.
Thank you.
All righty, any other questions on the planner's budget? Hearing none, do we have a tentative motion to approve $96,089 pending any further information for that budget?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman DePasquale, a second from Councilman Kalenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Tentatively approve the planner's budget. Check. Check. Next, we go to recreation. We see a 2% increase in wages. And we have park supervisor salaries that are in, there's a request to increase them, agreed upon by the manager by 7.46%. Do we have our Director of Parks and Rec is with us?
I am.
And that's based on supervisor salaries needing an increase or more supervisors?
No, it's actually based on the minimum wage has gone up to $11.50 an hour.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was $10.50. It's gone up $1.
And that's for okay, that's good. The next line is the lifeguard salary is increasing. That's the same reason because of the minimum wage increase.
No, actually, the lifeguard is because we, especially due to the popularity of the beach, we feel it is safer to have 2 lifeguards on the weekends. And so we are looking to add staff on weekends for the lifeguards.
Very, very well. And then there's a new line, which is for rec parking and maintenance salary of, well, that's
not a new line.
That's not new.
No.
That was my mistake. I apologize.
Okay, I was gonna say that was there before. I can see that. That percentage increase, so that goes from 45.42 and you're requesting 72.57.
That is because we are, that adds to the month of June, from May to June. That's the whole summer, because last year we only did July and August. So
Okay.
this will make sure that we have staffing for the, whenever there is a lifeguard on duty, we have staffing in the parking area.
Okay, and we've seen a significant increase in use at the beach or visitors to the beach and use of the parking lot, so.
We have.
And when we get to revenues, there's the revenue generated from the parking fees?
Yeah, so it was almost $12,000, and that was just the months of July and August. This, and that was not even up to Labor Day. So the 8 weeks that, or the 7 weeks that the summer camp was in progress, we made almost $12,000 in parking fees.
Wow.
For our revenue.
Amazing.
It was a very popular place.
Still is. General office expenses, there's an increase of 11% there.
Yes.
Just.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that I added this year was we have a lot more people coming in to the camp. And then also we did an inflatable day, and I wanted to and that's a pretty hefty cost for bringing that in. And then also a tent. We didn't, I want to have a larger tent that goes up hopefully this year, opposed to the multiple little tents that we have.
Tara, that's in your general and office expense?
Oh, well, general expenses, yes. Yes. Yep. There's a breakdown. You should have a breakdown of all the operating expenses.
I do. It's in the big book.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't break it all down yet. I usually go through this and then try to do it together, but I didn't have a chance.
So the in here too is an opening, J Mills Park. I would like to do a reopening for J Mills Park since we've really completed the project. I mean, not completed it, but the playground is, the softball's in, the new hockey rink renovation. So I wanted to do a rededication of that park. So there is some money in there for that this year. Everything else is pretty much the same. Everything else, the numbers kind of went right over. They're basically stayed the same.
Yeah, all of that information is in the budget book by line, all of those expenses. Thank you. All righty. So any other questions for the director?
Motion to approve.
So we have a motion to approve $129,907 tentatively as the Parks and Rec budget. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay? I'm sorry, I did not name the motion and the second makers. Clerk Speroni, did you get that? Yeah,
I got Joey and John.
okay, that's what I got. All right, senior center. Let's check. Rec. Senior center. All righty. So wages and salary 2%. Then we've got 2.49% increase for meal site manager. That went from 1807 to 1852. I'm not going to even question that. Senior center maintenance is up 2.49% from 3,014 to 3,089. That's not really any dollars. So the total, does anybody have any questions about the senior center budget?
I do. Is Ms. Hoag making sure that she has everything she needs?
Yes, Joe, we are all set.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Motion to approve.
I will tell you, I have to say that in my opinion, Betty is worth
10
much
times
more
that?
than we could ever give her.
Motion to give her $80,000.
I will second Joe's first motion. Nice try.
All righty. We have a motion to tentatively approve the senior center budget of $46,044. And a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Budget passed. Check and check. Next, we go to social services. Wage and salary increase at 2.23%. And then there is a reduction of 9.09% for the substance abuse grant match. That's a $400 reduction. Is there a rhyme or reason to that?
These are all the actual numbers that are needed to maintain the grant funding that we're receiving. As you know, we're in the middle of a 5-year substance abuse grant program. So these are the funds that Anne Marie is requesting in order to continue with that grant funding, which is many times this budget amount.
Right, right.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve $37,585 tentatively pending more information on the social services budget from Councilman DePasquale. A second, was that from Councilman Kalenda?
Correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed?
We don't need a tally, do we?
Might as well.
We haven't made any changes. I don't think it's really necessary, and it's all tentative anyway, so.
Well, if you need it, so moved. 1308373.
Second. In case you need
All
it.
all in favor, in case
Aye.
we need it?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Very well. Next.
Sure, we're all looking at this as an exercise in just figuring out where we're at, as we stated earlier. For anybody who may come on prior to the very beginning, the work's going to come in the future.
Yes, indeed. It is good to look at it and just see, where we're holding and where we're going up and down, but this could all be for naught if there are huge impacts. So next we go to financial administration.
interrupt?
Hello, Ms. Chan?
Yes.
You there?
Just a reminder that the Board and Commission is not approved yet. That 1308 is included the Board and Commission. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Did we not make a motion for that total?
Right, we'll delete that total because you didn't go over boards and commissions yet, so that it doesn't equal.
Oh, that's right. We excluded a part previous.
Yeah, grants and contributions and boards and commissions.
Thank you, Ms. Chan.
That's why we have her. Okay,
All right,
was there
so
something in?
I removed that last motion, the total.
Oh, there's a note from Anne Marie Roy. I would like to thank the Warren Town Council for all their continued support. And we would like to thank you right back, Ms. Roy, for all of your continued hard work. So thank you. All righty, so we are at Treasurer Tax Collector. Is everybody on that page? Okay. Wages, 2%, nothing. And then we get down to outside services. We have
Actually,
42.
Ms. Cronin,
Yeah.
if we wanted to do what we were doing, we could simply ask Ms. Chan what the number would be to approve up to that point, if you want to go that route. Because we just removed it, but there is a total.
Yeah.
We could do.
It's totally up to you. I just thought about it after the fact. It's not like we couldn't approve an accurate number. But
Ms.
tonight.
Chan, do you have that number?
I have 1,265,445.
445, 1,265,445. So that is the town office's budget tentatively. And it includes everything except for boards and commissions.
It includes what we approved, correct?
Yeah.
And I'll so move that motion.
All righty, second.
I'll second it.
All righty, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so this is minus boards and commissions. All righty, here we are back on the line that is finance, outside services. So what is that increase? What does that contain?
The big increase is because of that we are billing the taxes by partial instead of by account. What I mean is, in the past, one account can contain multiple partials. Now we break it out to bill by partial, so there will be more billing, more postage, more the vendor will charge us more for their service as well. plus licenses or renewal increasing. So
Is that an impact on the pandemic?
that's more like the normal increase for the licenses. It's not due to pandemic.
Thank you.
So that's, in other words, so it's, we have a third party that send out bills out?
Right. They handle the printing, mailing for us. Yes.
So you're saying it's because we used to send one bill for multiple parcels if they were the same owner, now we're sending bills for each parcel?
Yes.
50% more?
Plus
Well,
license.
42% more?
Plus
That
their
just-
licenses increases on the annual renewal.
What licenses?
The accounting software, the
Oh,
tax
okay.
programs, and
Okay, thank you.
okay.
We did this several years back, John, remember? I don't know if
Yep.
you were on the council.
So then there's also a little higher increase than some of the other lines for the payroll processing and services.
Right.
But the department is running smoother. In the past, it was pretty spread out.
Right. The number we had budgeted before, that's based on proposal or estimate, but as we engage business with them, that we incur actual. So now we know a little bit more on our per processing per month fee, plus some of the discount that is going away.
Okay, and we are now happy with our payroll service?
I am.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Seemed like years when you were not.
Forever.
And previous.
Yeah. All right, any other questions for our finance director? Hearing none, do we have a motion to tentatively approve $250,291 for the treasurer tax collector portion of this budget?
So moved.
Second.
So Di Pasquale motion, Kalenda second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed. So that is a decrease in 8.38% in that particular section of the finance budget. Next, we have tax assessor.
Can I interrupt?
You may.
All right, before you start, I just want to point out that I made a mistake in the assessor's outside services. It should be $4,730 less.
Okay,
What's
so
the number? What's the number instead of the subtraction? Tell us what the number is,
Okay, hold on.
please.
38,350.
Okay, I apologize. So that is the final line of outside service in the town manager request line that was 43,080.
Is now.
It's
38.
now
I have it as 38,350.
And that changes the bottom line or no?
Yes.
Yeah, to 106,628.
Doesn't it impact the 111 first?
Right.
And then, I don't care. Ms. Fung, you're gonna give us new paperwork for next week?
Yes.
Okay. I guess you can tell. You're writing it in now. Where is it? 106?
The
620.
106,628 is instead of the 111,358. So then the 361 at the bottom is going to become something else.
What's that turn into?
In terms of percentage or?
356,
No,
919.
just the numbers.
Yeah, the bottom line is
56, 919.
Yep.
Thank you. I don't
I'm
care
sorry.
about percentages.
Could we just get that number again?
356, 919.
Okay, all right, so the tax assessor has the same 2% salary increase, and then the general office expense is reduced from 5850 to 5350, and then the outside services have increased from 17,474 to a manager's request of 38,350. So can we just get a little explanation on that now that we know what that number is?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So that piece is the statistical revaluation, the amount of money that we're going to need to, we apportioned a chunk of money to go towards the statistical out of my budget. And then I think we took a piece and budgeted that in the capital budget as well.
And in addition to that, we are expecting reimbursement from the state, and the estimate of the reimbursement in this against this expenditure is 20,000.
It's dinner for somebody. Receive. When will we know about that reimbursement?
It's not gonna, the money is not gonna come in until next fiscal year, but it's just to even out the revenue and expenditure. That's why I'm plugging in the revenue estimate for this year.
Okay.
We'll know when they don't give it to us.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions for our tax assessor, Mr. Leadham?
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Motion to approve 356,919 tentatively.
Well, I think you want to hit his line item first. He's
Yeah.
106,628.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's right. That was the whole total. Motion to approve 106,628 tentatively.
Second.
Pending further information. Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion
All
to
right.
approve 356,919 tentatively pending further information.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty. We're rolling. So we are going to skip grants and contributions for this evening and move on to fire safety. Okay. So here we go. So 2% on the wages and salary and the fire prevention marshal. Going down EMS director, another 2% increase. These are all normal. Then we got zeros down the way until we get to fire company fees, which have increased by 40%. That goes from 17,500 to a requested 24,500. And if I recall from the manager's explanation, that's due to a decrease in revenue generated through fundraising. Am I correct there, Chief Souza, if you're here?
Yes, I'm here. So
Hi.
you went right down to, company fees?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's correct. So that was an increase to increase each company's annual fee from $2,500 to $3,500, so $1,000 per company. As you know, none of the companies were able to hold any of their annual events, clam bakes, clam boils, and so on. So just to help them cover reoccurring costs and the operations, that was the purpose for that increase.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it legal to have, does the fire company have like a Facebook page or any sort of social media presence? Do the individual companies have any of that?
Yeah, some of them do.
Is it legal for them, and here I'm asking a legal question, and our legal counsel is not with us any longer, to do like a donate here button on those? I know a lot of groups and organizations have that. do like a GoFundMe or something? I bet you'd clean up.
Yeah, they could, but then they would have to separate where that money is used, I would think. You know, the money that they get from the town, they use for, you know, I don't supply all their,
Never ask legal
like,
questions
cleaning
without the
supplies.
lawyer in the room.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one I wouldn't be able to answer 100% accurately.
All right.
It's a good question to ask our lawyer.
Yeah, and I will. All righty. So next line is the rescue stipend, which you had requested of $430,000. The manager has put in $352,500. Can you just talk to us?
The original request was looking to try to fund, currently we have one truck always manned with 2 people. So that number was trying to get 2 trucks manned all the time, 24,365. So with the manager's recommendation, we'll find a formula that works, and it does give us a little extra to occasionally put a second truck on if needed, and compensate the men and women of the rescue department the best that we can.
Okay. Going down, the fire company stewards.
Yep, so that's increasing the company stewards, the 17 of them that take care of the trucks and the stations, cleaning, making sure they're stocked and ready for a day-to-day operation. We'll be giving them $100 each increase per year. And again, that goes with the extra, sorry, is there an echo from me? I hear an echo. Goes with the extra tasks they've been dealing with this year with COVID cleaning and extra stuff I've been asking them to do.
Right. All righty.
If I could I go back to, I would like the council to consider, if you look at the fire marshal request, where it's 2%. Fire marshal's been in the position for a couple of years now. He's well under comparable fire marshals in neighboring towns as far as salary. The position brought in roughly $22,000 just in plan review fees and fire prevention fees that we do daily in the office. Just would like the council to consider for future workshops if there could be an increase in that line item. Get them into a more comparable salary as other fire marshals and employees in town. Okay.
So you had requested 52,000?
I did, yes.
All righty. So this is one of those situations where we could tentatively approve at that amount and say that should our budget experience some windfall, or see if we do in fact get, if the federal state money ends up being more than anticipated, that would be a place we could consider going first to increase. If once we get to the end of this process, perhaps we have a ranking of those additional requests that we might want to consider going to first. And if you're putting in that request here tonight, I would write that down as being a place that we would go to first.
That's what I'm asking, that's Council President, yes, just to see the request is there, and it does allow for future workshops to be addressed.
Okay. So I am putting that down here. I think probably makes sense to just approve at the amount as the manager has requested, just to be consistent, and then note, should our process reveal that we've got a little more to work with, that additional few dollars could be bumped up, because it would mean a lot.
Motion to approve 942617.
So we have.
Madam President, before we make a second on this, can I just circle back on a couple of numbers that maybe? Hey, Chief, so looking at the fire marshal request at 52, the other number that jumps off is the rescue stipend. Your request was 430, and the manager came in at 352, which is still a 28% jump. Can you expand upon the 430 request? Is it the number of runs?
It's manning a second truck. Currently, we staff one truck. They get $140 stipend for a 12-hour shift per person. That new amount was going to be to put 4 people essentially on at a time, 24 hours a day, 2 trucks manned with 2 people.
Chief, we actually talked about this a week or so ago. I remember the conversation. So, but that would increase our revenue getting also, right, on the third-party billing?
To an extent, if we don't have to call mutual aid, if we do get the truck out every time. I mean, currently, we're relying on that second and third call. I say second and third because we have 3 rescue trucks on staff coming from home. And as we saw through COVID, it got much more difficult to get somebody to respond from home going to a dispatch of a COVID positive patient. It's just a lot easier when a person has the frame of mind sitting in the station, dressed in uniform, not knowing.
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
But our numbers also increased on the number of runs, correct?
They held the same last year. Last year's a tough year to compare to. They did hold the same last year because we had a few down months. We didn't have a normal increase, but having a truck on all the time, 2 trucks on would probably increase some income on third-party billing due to the guarantee of getting the truck out by warrant.
And just for anyone who may be listening at home, when we call for mutual aid, we lose that third-party billing opportunity, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam President.
All righty. So, Chief Souza, in regard to that line item, the rescue stipend, would you want that additional, I don't know, what is it, 70 some odd thousand? Is that, I can't do that kind of math. I'm sure Mr. Hanley could, really.
I think it comes out to 78,000.
Yeah.
68,000.
So would you want that ranked in second place as far as potential?
Yes. Yep. If you could put that as be a future discussions would be favorable for me.
Okay. So let me see. I find my calculator. 43000 minus
500.
77,500.
Yes, I just got that too. 77,500 for rescue stipend. Okay. So we had a motion to tentatively pass the fire safety budget at $942,617 and a second. Have that?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, we did. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so thank you, Chief Souza.
Thank you.
Police. This includes dispatch and animal control.
If may I interrupt?
You may.
Before we start, I got the police chief request after we submitted the budget. So I just want to bring it out before you make any approval. So the change is in the Police Incentive Education Act and training. So the new number for the Incentive Education Act is $11,050.
Okay, Incentive Education Act, that goes from 9462, is that correct? To some, could you say that again? I just got to that line, sorry.
Right, $11,050.
11050?
Correct.
Okay.
And training is 56,500.
So that's reduced.
Right, and the impact is $1 less than the original amount before the correction.
2466453 or 1?
1.
1.
Right.
You said a little less.
5 ones instead of 5 2.
Okay, got it. All righty, so here we go. So Public safety, wages and salaries at 2%, wages and salary union at 2.23. Police SRO, the school resource officer, there is a requested increase that would go from 21.5 to 24,750. That's a 15.12% increase. Can we discuss why that would be different from the other 2% increase?
The SRO?
Yes.
It's just the increase in the contract negotiations that went
So
up.
that's contractual?
Yes.
We're still splitting that with the school, correct, Chief?
We do, yeah, 25 for the town, 25 for the school department, and 50% grant from the Department of Education.
And is that was a 3-year contract?
That is correct.
And that ends
This year.
this year? So next year, that would be discussed as by the school committee, school department, whether to keep that person in place. And then that position would be possibly absorbed back into the department?
Yes, I've discussed this with our manager, and we're hoping to reach out to the school department and see if they have to put in for the grant, which is 50%, and then we would do the 25 and 25.
Okay. Next line is overtime. So that's just slightly up. And then holiday pay, I'm sure there are, is that just contractual or renegotiation? Yes. The decrease?
Yes, last year we had 16 holidays because of the election, and this year we have 15, so that's why it's a smaller amount.
All right. So then the police advanced degree incentive, we are offering them a little bit more to go for advanced degrees.
It's the same. We just have a new officer coming in May. He's currently in the academy, so there'll be an increase for the next fiscal year.
Okay. And differential?
Yeah, differential, the same thing. It's just contractual. I spoke with Fung, and it's really a tough category to figure out exactly what the differential would be. So we just kind of estimated an increase by 4%.
Okay. General office expense, minimal. Next is the computer services.
Yes, so the computer services, yeah, so the computer service is currently, as you can see, I have 22,550 in there. One of the companies that we deal with is DMY, which is run by Danny E. He does all our virus protection and IT supports, which is about 12,000 a year. And every year, so I take a little bit out of here and a little bit out of there. So this year I'm asking to add to the 22.5 to add 5,450 and make it 28. So we would pay him the $12,000 a year for Danny E, which we pay him every year anyway. So I always look for 3,000 from this account, 3,000 from that account. So we talked about, and he approached us and said, if you give me 12,000 a year, I will be happy with. So that's the reason for the increase.
Okay, and we had discussed in the past that it is not appropriate or safe to have the same tech support for police as it is for the town?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the DMY actually works under the state police.
Okay.
There's our his IT support. He does our upgrades and protection, virus protection.
All right. Going down, the clothing allowance is just getting a little bump.
Yeah, the clothes allowance always been at 7,800. Last year I asked for the 13 because we needed to get additional stuff that was not covered, that would not be covered there. So we got that. So we're asking that we go down. Oh, I'm sorry, the closed allowance. Again, it's contractual.
Okay,
I was looking at equipment replacement.
yeah, so go ahead with that.
Yeah, so it's always been 7,800. Like I said, last year we asked for a little additional to obtain items that were not involved in that. It was going to cost us a bit of money, so we've already got those. So we're asking that goes back down to 7,800.
Alrighty, and then the Police Incentive Education Act, we've adjusted that. So it was approved, the prior budget is 17,550, and this cycle, the manager, and you are the 9462 is now 11,050. So that's a reduction.
Yes, so I believe yesterday you all got a memo from me and it talks about tasers for the department.
Yeah.
And so the 17,550 is for the Educational Act. I this year spoke to my officers about who was anticipating going to school, and since I don't have any, I would like to take $6,500 next fiscal year, hopefully for the next 5 fiscal years. So that would bring it down to 11,550, and the 6,500 would pay for the tasers for the department.
Would we need to create a new line item for that fund?
So if I may, what I would like to do, and I spoke to the manager, is I would like to take the 6,500 and put it into the training item account line there. So that's why I would bring it up from 50 to 56,500, and I would take the money from it. Because it falls under firearms qualifications, and this would fall into that.
Okay, so will the investment into this TASER program require further council approval in general council meeting?
Yes, that would require approval of the council of the agreement with the vendor. So that would be on a future regular council agenda.
You mean the contract approval?
Correct.
Any further questions for Chief Borges?
I think if we're gonna try to have a non-lethal force, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, agreed, Joe. And just so for clarification, Chief, this is going to go into your force continuum, which your non-lethal right now, I would have to say, deals with either the ASP or the spray.
Correct.
So the taser will, so the taser will come into that
Yes.
force continuum. Because you don't have anything else non-lethal besides ASP and spray, correct?
Correct. That is it. We have the OC, the baton, and then we go directly to the
Deadly force.
Deadly
Yep.
force. I did speak with, just to clarify, I did speak with Paul Dutra last Thursday from the trust about any extra coverage, and we don't need any extra coverage. Just covered under the current insurance trust, and his words were that he strongly encourages and supports this the TASER project.
And that would have been my next question too. So great, thanks for sharing that. You checked with the trust. Thank you. That's all I have to add, Kerry. Thank you.
Motion to approve contingent on outside forces.
Joe, do you want to, with the changes that the chief has suggested?
Correct. The 246. Well, we already did the lines and they're already added in, so I'm just going to approve the bottom line, John.
Okay.
The 2466451.
And I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Next, we go to dispatch. Wages and salary. those are union agreed upon, and there is no increase. Overtime, no increase anticipated. Differential holiday,
Madam Secretary, before you continue, may I say something?
you may.
So just to advise you, I'm sure you're aware of it, the dispatch contract ends this fiscal year. So those figures you are seeing there is from just the current year. So I'm sure the town will be negotiating. So I don't know how Fund wants to handle that, but
Correct. You'll see the same thing across the board. Any USW covered staff is not, there's no budget for increases because that will be subject to negotiation. The only difference in dispatch is the clothing allowance, which is set by the consumer price index or inflation, which is a $5 increase.
All right, so motion to approve the 304,863.
Second.
So we have a motion to tentatively approve. Sorry, we'll just be sticklers with it.
Yes,
And
correct.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And next we have the animal control portion of this budget.
which is the same.
And there's increase in the general office expense of 2.5%, which is about $500. But then there is a significant decrease in the animal shelter repair that has gone from 10,000 to 2,500. What's going
Again,
on with that little building?
So this is another one of my haircuts to the budget. And I based it on the actual expenditures. We do have some capital funds that are available if there are repairs that are needed to the structure in the next fiscal year. And my recommendation would be to spend down whatever we have available in capital for things that are appropriate for capital expenditures. And I'm just trying to see. To date, we have spent no funds out of that account.
Okay.
Fiscal year.
Motion to approve tentatively $93,486.
Madam President, can I ask a real quick question of the manager, please, before
You
I? Kate, have we looked into any of these services that could be partnered with Bristol in their very elaborate shelter?
Yes, that's been an ongoing discussion between the police chief and the Bristol officials. Certainly, it's something that we will continue to explore as an option in the future. The difficulty is that we haven't really been told what the cost would be, so it's hard to plan until we get a figure for what that actual cost would be to utilize that shelter and decommission our own.
Okay, maybe some of our colleagues from the Bristol Council, we can see what they have to offer on that subject. But thank you, and thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Calenda, remember the magic number is 21,000.
That's the big number?
Well, that's what we spend to have Wood Street.
Okay.
Everything else would probably stay the same. I'm not an expert, but been here long enough to remember. I think everything else will travel if we do get into an agreement.
Yeah, that's good to know. Thanks, Joe. I'll second Councilman Di Pasquale's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty.
And Ms. Chan, does the total public safety change any?
No, it remains the same.
It doesn't go down by
With
$1?
those changes previously? I thought they changed it a little on the previous page.
We updated the column U2, so that's why it remains the same.
Yeah, the total is 2.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I got it. Yep. I'm different on my page, so that's correct. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and our hard copies here, we gotta take that $1 off.
Only different by $1. All right, I've worked with worse.
All righty, so we have a motion to tentatively approve the total public safety budget of $2,864,800. And a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I didn't think so.
Is Mr. Malik back home? No? Is he with us?
Yep, he's here. Hold on. I'm sure he's coming into the meeting.
Well, he could be sitting anywhere.
That's right. But I'm sure he came home for the budget. Dedicated employee. He can't be there. I'm sure he would have already commented on me.
Yeah, he was in my office right before this meeting, so he's definitely here.
Must have fell asleep. He thinks he's on vacation still.
All righty, we will now delve into the public works budget. Salaries, non-union, 2%, wages and salary.
Can I just ask, Bob, can you let Jen in? He's a participant. He's got his hand raised.
He on the phone?
Yes.
I just allowed him to speak. He has to, I tried to unmute him.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jim. Good evening.
How we doing today?
Good.
All righty, you are here with us and we are going line by line. We will allow you to speak on any significant increases or decreases. The first one I see is the overtime is projected to decrease by 38.89%, or
I should explain right off the bat, and this isn't a request that Dan requested, it's something that Fung and I put in. It's actually not a request, it's broken out into two separate line items. So if you add the 55 and the 35, that equals the 90. So there's actually not a reduction requested, it's just a reconfiguration of the line items. And you'll see that.
Yeah, I noticed that now that I moved my ruler that I use to see that next line.
Yep, you'll see the same thing under the general and office expense and the snow removal. That's just, it's not a reduction. It's just a reallocation of the way that entries are made.
All right, so then going down a little bit further, an increase in the clothing allowance.
That's contract.
Yep, this is again for boots. We were paying this out of the general employee benefits account, but for accounting purposes, to be more accurate, it should be coming out of this line item so that you know what department it's coming from.
Okay.
Excuse me, Madam President, did we skip over the snow removal?
No, that got broken in half.
Okay, it got broken in half.
Well, it's overtime, general overtime, and then snow removal overtime.
And then you have general office space, what I think he's talking about, and snow removal. That account was at 101. They divided it up to 84 for general office expense, and then 17,000 for snow removal.
Oh, okay, they broke the 101 out. Yep, I got it.
The same amount of money, but they breaking it down. You'd have to talk to either the finance director, the town manager, because I'm going to have some questions with that by breaking it out. You know, when it comes down to the snow removal or the overtime, in my opinion, is overtime. Snow removals, you know, coming out of the expenses side of the highway department. Who's to say if we use more money, where's that money going to come from? Do I got to go back in front of the council when I still have money still sitting in the general office account that I use every year? How is this going to be planned out, or overtime? God forbid we have this year we have a lot of sanding operations. I go over that budget for snow removal. What do I have to do? Petition the council again to dig into the regular overtime? I just don't get this part of it. And the same thing with the transfer station as we go down. You are going to see the transfer station under the old director put $12,000 there when it was an enterprise zone. It's been kept there. That should all go into overtime. We don't know what overtime is going to bring, what the Mother Nature's going to bring, either hurricanes, snowstorms, whatever. This year we've been limited with the overtime when it came to Seppi Pavilion. That was closed all year. We didn't have an Earth Day this year. We didn't have a lot of projects that usually my department takes care of on Sundays and Saturdays. And now it's getting broken up. And I'd like to know how it's going to, if I go over that budget, where am I going to be able to get this money from if we have money put into these snow accounts?
Good point.
Yep, and I think that's definitely worthy of further discussion, and we can have a discussion internally. I think for the council's purposes, the bottom line is the same. So I would say that it's possible. I do agree, after speaking with Mr. Malik, that I do believe that the transfer station overtime should be combined. And we've discussed this several times, actually, and then I just completely missed putting it into the budget document. So you may see my request when I come back to you may be to combine some of these accounts, but the bottom line would be the same.
So Ms. Mishu, what is the actual intention of itemizing the overtime, just to figure out how much we're spending on snow?
It's
Correct.
the administration.
Yep, for administrative purposes.
Right, because there are reports that I do to the state and they require further broken down of categories. And that is just one of the items that I have to break out.
So in regards to like a state of emergency, you're talking about what we're able to get back? I'm a little confused.
In general, we're required to file reports with DOT regarding our road maintenance costs. And we're required to break out our overtime expenses for snow removal and non-snow removal. So we can combine them for a budget purpose, but Fung is still going to have to break them out for her reporting. So what she was trying to do.
So in regards to what Mr. Malik is speaking to, you can deal with that administratively. He still has access at the town budgetary level. Overtime is still considered overtime. But for budgeting purposes in regards to your state accounting, this will help you with these other jobs?
Yes.
Did I say that correctly, Ms. Mishu?
Yes, the only issue is that transfer station that we'll have to discuss, because it has been a problem accounting for the overtime for the transfer station. And it may be advantageous for us to combine overtime for the transfer station with the general overtime. But we'll have to discuss that further internally to make sure that it fits Fung's needs for reporting.
All right, because, everybody that's listening now, this is the first time that we're becoming aware of that conversation. So it sounds like you're in the right direction.
May I say one thing, what just happened in February, just to keep people aboard here? In February, we had a snowstorm. Remember, transfer stations closed the whole month except, I think, the 15th, President's Day. That week, we're open on a Saturday because trash pickup is pushed back a day. But what happened was one of the weeks in February, we had a snowstorm. So we didn't have trash pickup, so it was pushed back a day. I had to put an employee up there to run it like the place was open that day and when the trash men picked up on the Friday round on Saturday, they had a place to dump. So I got to make sure there's money in these accounts to pay for the unseen stuff that happens, in these accounts. And that's all I'm asking for.
Mr. Malik, I think I helped clear that up. You have access to all of the overtime money. They just want to try to have a better accounting of where it's spent.
Right. I do think Mr. Malik's question is a valid one, though, about what the process is for spending out of the line item. So that's what we'll have to discuss internally.
Correct. That's what I was trying to emphasize and support his position.
Okay, so we can be confident that the manager and the DPW director will discuss this budget and make sure that both parties are full and confident with it, so that if we tentatively approve the amount listed here, we want to be sure that when it comes time to actual approval, that everybody is comfortable with the way that the budget is apportioned. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So we need a motion to tentatively approve $2,352,872 pending any further information, plus or minus.
So moved.
And I will second that.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Malik.
Thanks, Jan.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
You.
Next, we have debt service. That has gone down by 0.75%. Manager Michaud, would you like to just give a quick on that? Or Fung?
This is just the actual debt service payment that's due. As you know, we have not bonded for the past several years, so these are prior year bonds. The proposal this year is, again, not to bond. This would be the last year that we would be able to fund capital out of our reserves. So we're not including any financing costs in this debt service payment. This is just strictly debt service for prior year bonds.
Motion
Okay,
to approve tentatively $16,235,203.
Oh, you gotta get the line item for the debt service first. 3307,807.
Correct. Motion to approve $3,307,807 tentatively.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Any
to
opposed?
approve $16,235,203.
No,
No?
grant and contribution is not approved yet. So
Right.
the amount is, you ready?
Yeah.
Yep,
15,834,175.
Motion
Again,
to
it is
approve,
15,834,175.
motion to approve $15,834,175 because we haven't done grants and contributions yet, and that's tentative.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty. So we have now covered the operating budget minus grants and contributions and boards and commissions, which we will hear next week. It is 7:59. I am perfectly comfortable moving on to capital unless a member or members of the council would like to stop.
Let's get it over with.
Moving on then. Everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Yeah, I just need 2 minutes. I have to,
Okay, we're gonna take a pause. Everybody put yourself on mute when you return or stop. Actually, everybody turn your videos off while we take a momentary break. So when everybody's back, just turn your cameras back on.
I never left.
Hmm.
Is the capital the big long one in the book? The first one?
So that's just a report for your information. That's not the capital request. That's just a report on our expenditures for the last 5 years.
Don't we have it in one of those nice little ones like you gave us for the operating?
Yes, you got one today.
No, I didn't.
It says capital improvement. It's,
Oh, just for the wastewater?
nope, that's a separate one. You've got one.
Right.
The first
I have
line
that.
is transportation infrastructure.
Oh, nope.
I'll put it up on the screen so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, I got fire department. Yeah, I got fire department. I got memorandum, fire department, another memorandum, Discover Warren. I got another memorandum from you. I don't have that one, Kate.
Maybe I gave you 2 memorandums and no capital.
Yep,
I emailed it to you and we'll get you a hard copy. It's on the screen.
it's all right. Yeah, just leave it up there. I can follow it. And then just next week. Oh no, it was stuck. It was stuck in the tax revenue. I got it. I think, yeah. 425 for infrastructure. Yep, I got it.
And Madam President, if I can give a preview of.
That would be great. Is everybody here and back and everything?
You didn't forget me, Kate.
Okay.
How do they know that we're back if they're all muted? Oh no, they're muted. We're not.
Yeah. So if everybody could, if Councilman Kalenda and Heckert and VP Hanley could all just let us know that they're back.
I'm here.
Yeah, my camera's on. I can see
All right.
everybody.
We got a quorum.
All righty.
Unmute,
Yeah,
I'm fine.
we've got a screen share, so we can't really see you unless you're speaking. So if everybody is ready, then we will get back to business and Manager Misha will give us her overview of this capital.
So just for your reference, in the front of your budget books, you have a document that's printed on 11 by 17 paper. That is a report of budget to actual for the last 4 years of our 5-year capital improvement plan. So that's not something pertaining to the request for the current year. All it is it's laying out what was in the capital improvement plan for the last 4 years, what you actually appropriated for the last 4 years, what the difference is in those appropriations from the budget to the actual, and then what's in the fiscal year 21-22 capital improvement plan. So that's all just background information, just for your general knowledge. Then you'll see in the packet you received today what the capital improvement request actually is. And I will say right off the bat, I took an axe to this budget because what I did not want to do is overstretch our reserves. And I did not want to ask the voters to go out to bond this year and incur debt. So you will see that everything is drastically reduced. We certainly could spend a lot more in capital. We have plenty of projects that we could do, but I just don't think this is the year to do it. Again, if we receive funding from another source, from a federal source, then I would be more than happy to add back projects into this capital budget. But what you see before you is greatly reduced from what the departments have requested.
And I'll let you all know from my past experience, if we have dire budget problems, this is probably the first place we're going to find the $1 million we need to spend.
So, I don't know if you want to just start at the top. I believe Jan's still on the call. Transportation infrastructure, I will say we could easily spend double this request because we have that many roads and sidewalks that need reconstruction. but this was a conservative number that I included based on some estimates that we could get at least some of the work that needs dire repair done in the upcoming year, and we'll have to defer things that maybe aren't quite so badly in need of repair or reconstruction.
Okay, so if everybody has their budget sheets out, so at the top is transportation infrastructure, road paving, 5-year plan for 2021, the amount is 300,000. The department request and the manager request is 475. Do you have a current or running sort of priority list on that, Mr. Malik?
Yes, we do. I've been going off the 5-year plan from John Massad, and we're basically on the last page now. And some of the roads we're looking at this year, if the council gives the approval, would be Fatima Drive, Central Street, Summer and Hale Street in Warren. And that with Hale Street would include new sidewalks. And that would probably make Uptown from Campbell Street all the way to Miller Street, except for Broad Street, have new sidewalks in the community of Warren. And
Again,
they'd all be passable.
We did Hale Street a few years back.
No, that's the other Hale. There's a Hale that goes north and south that runs parallel with
Water Main
and ties into Washington, all the way to St. Mary's Church.
Oh, that's right. St. Mary's cuts it in half. Thank you.
Yes. And that's that and Broad Street, the only two streets that haven't been done with new sidewalks yet. So with your approval, we'll end up doing Hale Street this year.
Okay, so just for sort of logic in how to proceed through this, we've got columns going down, but also columns going across. So we've got our 5-year and then our requests that come into 2 columns. So with the road paving, curbing and sidewalks, road crack sealing, and bike paths, that 5,000 for bike paths, which bike paths are those if that's DOT?
So I'm not recommending those line items. I'm recommending zeros on crack sealing and bike paths. That was in the 5-year plan.
Oh yeah, I see that.
And for bike paths, we do have the Warren bike path that we need to, from the Broken Bridge out to Long Lane, we are responsible.
So we're going down on the 3rd column to the right. The town manager request is what we're looking at tonight.
Correct.
So
all right. So Kate, you started cutting out again.
I don't think she's back.
Boy, we've lost the manager.
She's frozen.
Oh no,
Can you hear
there
me?
she is. Yeah.
All right, I shut my camera off, so hopefully that will help with the connection. What we
Okay.
really need is broadband.
Yeah, where's that in the budget?
Motion to approve broadband.
Um,
Tentative.
Second.
Bob.
All in favor?
So what I'm requesting is the 475 plus the 289 for a total of 764 for transportation infrastructure. But
Motion to approve with
if we were to
tentative.
come across additional funds, then this would be an excellent place to spend them.
May I ask a question? Is there a breakdown of where that money is going specifically? In the curbs and sidewalks and the road paving? I know Mr. Malik just addressed the specific streets, but is that broken down somewhere where we can see it?
No.
We haven't gone out to bid on it.
That's where we got the proposal from the sidewalk company to come up with this number. So those streets are accurate, Hale Street and Summer Street.
Okay.
And you'll see those
So
in
the
your
money that's
book. The sidewalk estimates are in your budget book.
Okay, they're in the budget book. Okay, under DPW? Probably.
But then when we go out to bid, we're gonna get the most current numbers, right?
Right, when the project goes to construction, then there'll be a more accurate number. This is just for
Right.
budgeting.
These are just budgetary.
All righty, so we have a motion to tentatively approve 764 or 764,000 under transportation infrastructure. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so transportation infrastructure we have done. Next, we have harbor and waterfront infrastructure. And basically, the manager is not suggesting any money there. There's the $3,500,000 requested from the department that would cover the phase 2 of the town RAF bulkhead project, wharf. That's just on hold.
Is there any exposure to us because that's not being addressed?
So as I've said in the past, it's definitely something that needs to get done. It's just a matter of when we're able to do it. We know there's still some sinkhole issues on the northern side of that parking lot underneath. And obviously, the longer it takes construction and materials, it's only going to get more expensive. I'll let Bob Ruley can also chime in because we're looking at a federal grant to help us out with this. And I know timing for that is probably projected for next year anyway. So,
Yep. So as Ed said, I mean, in the past, we've applied through U.S. Fisheries, a grant to restore the remaining portion of the bulkhead and add some finger piers for transient boating. We've lost out to Newport, Bristol, and Portsmouth. It does require a match. We didn't have the sufficient match this year. So next fiscal year, we will make another application, which would line up with next year's budget. And hopefully we would have sufficient funding to complete that project.
Mr. Ruley, what's the percentage of the match?
It's 25%,
And that would be,
but we're looking at $3 million in construction costs.
so that would be 200,000. How much is 25%? 300,000, 400,000, 1 million? What's it?
Yeah.
A million?
Yep, something like that.
1.2.
Now, if we were, so this is for Ms. Chan and Ms. Mishu, if we were to apply for that grant and get it, and I guess Mr. DeSisto, who's not here, would we have the opportunity to have a special financial town meeting to see if we wanted to spend that money out of the general fund?
No.
You're back?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Oh, boy, you come back with no,
Yeah.
huh? Why would that be no?
No financial town meeting anymore.
All right, I mean, I'm sorry. How do we not budget for it, apply for the grant, find out if we get the grant, and then contribute the matching funds?
That can be done by council action.
So we wouldn't have to have a financial town meeting to do that.
Correct.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
We'll apply for the grant in the 21-22 fiscal year
Yes.
and make the representation that there is funding there.
Yes.
If we get the grant, then we'll ask for the funding.
Yes. Because we do have the money if they ask. It's in the general fund. We just haven't allocated it to it.
On $3 million, 750,000 would be the town's contribution.
All right, I say we cross that bridge if we get the grant. Anybody else agree with me?
Yeah, I don't think we need to budget for it now until we get the grant and we can.
Right, that's
pull it
what I'm
out.
saying. That's what I mean. Discuss it if we get the grant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not a project that we are going to not focus on the goal of completing, and that grant money will be a huge incentive to revisit it. And then there's all of the unknowns of how the rest of this budget is going to go. So we can probably agree that we're going to leave it blank for now and hope that we can see some money coming back in there in the near future.
Speak to your federal representatives.
Yes. So harbor and waterfront infrastructure does not require any kind of tentative approval because right now we've got nothing in it. Stormwater drainage infrastructure improvements. So there is a proposed $100,000 in budget amount there for townwide improvements. A little expansion on what those would be.
Sure, we've used these funds for various kind of project completion items in the past. We've used it for emergency repairs that come up with stormwater. If we have a pipe collapse or something that requires immediate attention. We've also used it for streetscape projects. When we complete a sidewalk project and we have tree planting that's required to complete that streetscape, then we've taken that out of the townwide improvements. We've funded replacing Christmas lighting, holiday lighting, when we have lighting that needs to be replaced. That's come out of this account. We had to repair the clock out front of Town Hall. That came out of this account. It's a catch-all capital account for items that are not included in another capital budget item.
Shouldn't we separate stormwater and drainage from infrastructure improvements? Or, I mean, you took lighting out of stormwater drainage?
No, that was out of townwide improvements. The stormwater drainage, that's for the permitting and compliance with DEM, and we have existing capital funds that we can spend down in the current fiscal year. So we don't need to budget again for that line item. We
All
can
right.
spend previous year money that's unspent.
I actually thought that I didn't, go ahead. I looked at the numbers upside down.
Yeah, the 25,000 is for stormwater permitting and compliance. Like I said, we can spend down previous year budget. It is still a required expenditure, so you will see this line item come back in the future, but we have enough in prior years that we can get by this year.
And that includes Warren Boulevard?
Warren Boulevard's a separate capital item that's totally budgeted separately and only for use for Warren Boulevard.
All right, okay, that makes sense. There you go. Thank you.
Alrighty, so any other discussion on this capital expense?
Madam President, I have a real quick question for the manager.
Yep.
Hey, Kate, on the topic of stormwater infrastructure expenditures, did we ever recoup any of the monies that we needed to fix Wood Street?
We have not recouped any of the money from Wood Street. It is still a pending item with Bristol County Water Authority.
And
We
how
have-
long has that been going on now?
Very long time, and we just recently, we went back and forth. They asked for additional detail information, which we provided to them just in the last few weeks. It will be one of the first things we bring up with the new director.
I was just going to mention that with the new director. Thank you, Kate.
Welcome.
Okay, so we are looking for a tentative approval of the $100,000 in this stormwater drainage infrastructure and improvements.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
That's townwide improvement, not stormwater.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The line item says we should probably.
Yeah, stormwater drainage, but it's the top of this. The top of this one says stormwater drainage infrastructure improvements, and then the bottom line says stormwater drainage. But this is really for just townwide improvements. So, however we want to make that motion, so it's correct.
What is the headline you would like it under, phone?
Townwide improvement is fine.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to approve $100,000 for townwide improvements.
And I will second that.
All in
Tentatively.
favor, tentatively?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so there's that. So checking that. Next, we get to town buildings. There's $35,000 here budgeted, broken down to government center, town hall, and Mary V repairs. Seems like not very much money, but will that cover it?
Again, there are many more needs for all of these buildings. This is reflecting the funding in the current capital. There is some older capital accounts that we can spend down. There are many more needs for all three of those buildings.
Did we get that roof situation fixed at town hall? So the stairway is open now between town hall and the next building to the north?
The company Renaissance will be coming sometime in late April, beginning of May to do the town hall roof.
So we're
it hasn't
still,
been- Yes, correct.
it's still closed.
Yes.
Okay.
Miss Mishu, what about the windows on the tower?
So
Are
we
they-
got an estimate for just the cost of the windows themselves without, let's see if I can turn my video on, without the installation. And the cost for just the windows themselves was just around $5,000.
How much?
75,000.
That's for replacement windows, like the ones on the first floor of the tower?
A little bit better because the ones on the first floor of the tower are terrible, but.
All right, so the metal framed ones that we have in the whole,
Right, I think they're a composite actually, not the metal, so they don't
Okay.
work like we've had.
I bring this up not to question your, well, I do, I bring it up to question your budget. Those windows are broken and even though we're trying to make a bare bones budget here, I don't see how, I mean, some of those windows are broken. There's wood in one of them. Even though it goes against maybe what we think we're doing here, I don't think it goes against us putting that money in this budget. That's the town hall. There can be water damage. There can be problems. To me, that 75,000 doesn't impact this budget by anything. It's in the general fund. It's a building that's going to be there for hopefully till the end of time.
So the 75,000 is just the cost of the windows and that doesn't include installation.
May I suggest the council, all those windows are protected up there.
They are?
Yes.
They just look,
They got
they look,
they have plexiglass. We put plexiglass up there where the glass broke.
oh, thank you.
What I would recommend
So-
is that certainly in a future year budget, this building needs a significant investment. Even the windows that were replaced fairly recently, some of them have cracked, many of them don't open. So I think, when we are able to go out to bond again, I think that is something that we're gonna have to look very seriously at spending some money on.
Well, can we start working on grants for that? I'm sure we are, but what's the prognosis on that look like?
There's currently not a lot of grants available for town buildings, but certainly we will pursue any avenue.
Thank you.
May I second the town manager's proposal of bonding? You have two buildings there, the government center that needs still work on, and the town hall, and look at both of them and go out like you did a few years ago with the fire department. When you bought those trucks, I think you bonded out $1 million. I mean, if you're going to look at these two buildings, they do need they have some concerns. You people already addressed the town government center with a new roof. This year, it's going to be painted this spring. And I think it's about time we start working, since the registry is gone now, to start working on that hardwood floor when you come into the building, where we should have some pride when people come into our community. So I'm hoping that the council down the road will look maybe at a bond issue to take care of both buildings, and let's get them done the right way.
Well, actually, Madam President, if I may,
Yes.
I think the real question is going to be, are we going to be investing in these buildings, or are we going to be thinking of abandoning these buildings? Because
Town hall.
I understand that, Joe. I completely understand that. But these buildings are reaching the end of their life, just like.
Steve, stop.
Can I finish, please? May I finish, Joe?
I know, go ahead.
Okay, so, well, we really have to ask ourselves, is these buildings sustainable and maintaining them? They're not getting any younger. And if we're gonna have the conversation, then we need to have the complete conversation on whether or not we're going to be putting money into buildings that are sustainable for the future. Not the foreseeable future, but the reality of the future. Thank you, Madam President. That's all I have.
Thanks. Okay. I think that over the next period of time, if it has not already been done, but a punch list or a wish list of needs for both the town hall, government center buildings would be appropriate, so we can attach some ballpark ideas of what kind of money we need, because yes, in fact, they need to be preserved and used for a long time. And there might be some preservation grants. They're historic buildings. There might be grant money there. Yes, they're public buildings, but who knows? So do we have a motion for $35,000 to be tentatively spent on our town buildings in this budget?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Checking that off. Next, we get to the Parks and Recreation capital budget.
Again, I made many reductions from the department request because I am, not because any of the items are not worthy, but just in an effort to limit our capital spending to the greatest degree possible.
Okay, so the electrical upgrades, those are in a 5-year plan, but they're not in this year. So that means that those upgrades are not creating any safety issues if they're not addressed this year.
We have some capital funds available still from prior years for our electrical upgrades.
Okay. And these facilities are specifically which buildings? When you say electrical upgrades, those are more to like lighting and whatnot, or at parks and fields?
Correct, that was parks.
Okay, so receptacles, so Jamie Mills Park court surface repairs, nope. Playground upgrades, Baker Street, so that's where the pirate ship once was.
Yes.
That's, holy cow.
$35,000. What's gonna get the, what is $35,000 gonna get us?
The
Titanic.
same, it's gonna be the same structure basically that was there.
Has that, the price on that one increased?
Yes.
Well, how old was that?
The original one was built in the 90s.
Okay.
And in your book, you have an estimate provided by the vendor.
And the original one was wood, which is the problem. It rotted at the base. This one is a metal.
Okay.
We have to go with a boat like that? Isn't there something maybe that would be as much fun, but less expensive and we could spend the money?
Even the structure that we put at Baltimore Ave was $30,000.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, this is rather inexpensive when you look at the playground world.
I guess that rock cost us how many thousands?
Which rock?
Did we buy a couple of rocks?
Oh, for the beach, yes. We have some, yes, the rocks were expensive.
Rock. Yeah. So Burrs Hill Park improvements not happening. Outdoor fitness center at Veterans Field, that's happening. I'm just kind of going down the way here. Veterans Field drainage improvement, multi-use field, that's on hold. Major League Field parking on hold. East Warren bike path fencing replacement on hold. Assuming there's no like real safety issues with not doing any of these things. Mulch.
For the bike path fencing, we do have the prior year capital funds available for bike path. So we can do some fencing work without appropriating additional funds on the East Warren bike path. This year, we hope to see the installation of the broken bridge. So that will be a great improvement to the area, and we can utilize we do have some town funds set aside from a prior year capital budget for facilities ancillary to the broken bridge. So we will be able to address any issues there.
All right.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Ms. Thibodeau. She's still with us?
I am.
I just remembered something I forgot to ask you. When you look at the dog park, are we going to pave a walkway from the parking lot to the gate, the exit, the entrance? Or is that just going to stay all dirt like it is?
Well, my goal would be to make it a brick that we would have enough brick memorial bricks to create a path.
One question I have for the solicitor, I just happened to be down there the other day, walking back. Is Anthony still with us?
Yes.
What is our liability in regards to having the park and then the parking lot, and then in between there's no demarcated path? There's no walkway. It's all dirt. It's like mud and grass and dirt and big rocks from the state park and ride. Should we allocate some of that crushed granite if Ms. Thibodeau is going to put in bricks in the future? Should we put at least the base down?
Is the area you're referring to is a part of the park itself?
Yeah, to me, it's the entrance to the park. There's no demarcated way to get to the gate. It's just everything outside of it is left the way it used to be.
It's covered by the recreational use statute. And that serves to immunize the town from any liability. Not to say that the town doesn't want to make sure that it's safe for people to go from the parking lot to the area in question, but that would be covered by the recreational use statute.
And Joe, I'd be happy to meet you down there and take a look at that, because we can put down like a crushed stone if necessary. Yeah, that is something we can do.
And then and the reason I'm bringing it up now is I just wanted to make sure in this whole budget somewhere that we're not caught, by not being able to fund it, because I don't think that would be so expensive.
We have some funds. So my goal for the dog park is for it to be self-sufficient. We're going to be getting sponsorships and things like that. So we do have funds available. So that is something that we can look into.
Okay, good. That's why I brought it up for funding. Thank you.
All righty. So this $103,000, as lean and mean as it is, and as cut back as it is, you are comfortable with it, Director Thibodeau?
I am.
Okay. All right. Well, do we have a motion to tentatively approve this?
So
I'll make
moved.
a motion to approve the $103,000 request from the manager.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty, so we have a total here now of total capital improvement for these sections that we've gone through so far. Do we want to do that to be consistent with our tentative approvals?
Motion to approve tentatively $1,002,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. The next page is equipment replacement. And we've got the, let's see, where's my ruler to see this? So we've got a sweeper. There's some grant match money there and a small, well, no bucket truck. So a
Nope.
sweeper.
So the sweeper is badly needed. We got by at the end of last year through the graces of Bristol loaning us their sweeper. The actual cost of the sweeper is in your, the estimates are in your budget book under capital. I did add a few dollars for grants administration so that we could, oops, sorry, Bob just let me know his internet crashed, so hope he's not here. The actual estimate is somewhere in the neighborhood of $270,000 for the equipment. So I added a few dollars for grants administration and then cut it in half because this is an item that's eligible for DEM watershed grants. And in fact, that's how Bristol and Barrington have funded their sweepers in the past.
So we haven't received the grant. We're applying for it.
We're applying for, we have not received it. So if there is, I would say this is a priority item. If there is an opportunity to increase, this would probably be my number one priority out of this whole capital budget. If we could get it back to at least to the 270, then that would make me much more comfortable. And then if we got the grant, then that would be great and we could return the funds to the general fund.
So do you want the 270 or do you want 145?
I would prefer the 270, but I could live with the 145, which is why I put it.
Right?
May I state something too? That Joe, Councilman, that 270 is a waterless Elgin sweet sweeper. The one that we have now that we could buy that's not waterless, that wouldn't count under the grant process with DEM, because DEM wants the waterless one, would be only $232,000. That's the one that sprays out that we have now. So there is two different prices. I don't know if I gave both of them to the town manager, but there's two of them out there. One for 270 waterless, and that would be required. You could get maybe a DEM grant this year from it. And there's one for 232, which you're not eligible for a DEM grant.
Right.
So you people can shoot your weapons, but I know people like the street swept.
I'm
And
going to make a motion to increase it to 270,000.
I thought we were gonna hold off on any of this until we get our numbers and then we come back and revisit.
It's tentative, number one. Number two, these are my reasons. It's tentative, number one. Number two, if we get the grant, it'll go back into the general fund anyway. And if we don't, it definitely has to do with not just cleaning the street for aesthetics, but storm water. Clogged drains are the number one flooding issues. If you want to hold it off, fine, but I feel we're going to my vote isn't going to change for the next 6 months. So I would rather it go into the newspaper being seen than to deal with it down the road. Literally. That's me. I made the motion. I've sat here long enough to know what we need.
Madam President, if I may.
You may.
Councilman DePasquale does bring up a very valid point as far as, clogs, drainage, issues like that. If this is a tentative proposal that we can revisit, then there probably is no harm in approving it in a tentative state. So I would tend to agree with Joe.
I guess I have no problem with, you know, tentatively putting that money back in there. Manager Michaud has made it very clear that this would be a priority. I just don't want to get in the habit here of being inconsistent in the way we're building things back into the budget once we find out if we have the money to do so. So if you want to if you want to put that back in there, take it from 145 to 270 and it's tentative, that's fine. And if we find out, you know, that we have to cut it back to 145 or less, I guess that's what we'll do. But let's just try to be consistent in this process so we're not so we have a direct way to go back to those places that are priorities.
Ms. Cronin, if I can.
Yep.
I am absolutely consistent in my thought process. This is a capital expense.
Yeah, you know, you've already made that clear. I just said what I said. You've got a motion and a second. All in favor.
Coming out of the general fund.
I know, Joe, we've heard that. We know. You've said it very well twice now. So we have a motion and a second.
I'm trying to understand what you said. I'm being consistent. This is our streets aren't going away.
You know what? We've spent enough time on this. A motion and a second on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There you have it. So we've put that to 270. We're good. Moving on, public safety. We've got a police vehicle, 10,000 and radio replacement of 2,700.
So the police vehicle, the request is to add the 10,000 so that we could get, we can apply for the USDA grant again, utilizing previous year capital funds that were expended. So for 10,000, we could get a police vehicle if we get the USDA grant. So that's the request. It's a significant reduction from the previous years, but I think we're in pretty good shape as far as police. And then the radio replacement is the battery replacement for the existing radios. It's a necessary item.
Okay. May I ask if you are not being heard or speaking right now, that you mute? We're starting to get some interference and some background noise. Okay, that sounds better. Any other questions on those two items? Okay, so we need a motion to tentatively approve $12,700.
I'll make the motion that we tentatively approve 12,700 for the police capital, public safety capital.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Checking that and that. Next, we have the fire department. Wow. So the request is for $70,000. That is in the line with brush truck. There is in the manager's transmission statement earlier discussion or explanation of sort of putting on hold the further funding of the new rescue station. So any discussion on this 70,000? What exactly is a brush truck?
We currently, our brush truck is currently on a pickup truck. So what I'd be proposing is to get a new vehicle, put this brush unit on, our existing brush unit on. So just get a truck that has toolboxes on the side. The equipment is hanging off the side of the truck now, four-wheel drive with utility boxes on the side. And therefore getting our pickup back to be used as a pickup and snow plow, so on.
All righty. Any questions for Chief Souza?
Chief, where are we gonna store this truck?
It would go inside at headquarters and the pickup would probably have to be left outside.
Okay.
And Madam President, if I may, Chief, this is going to be purpose-built for the purpose of what you just stated, correct?
It doesn't necessarily need to be. We could buy a four-wheel drive, custom four-wheel drive with a utility box in the back that the dimensions would fit the skid unit and the existing skid unit right into it.
So let me clarify then. It would be multi-purpose built. You're thinking of using it in different functions within the department.
It could be, yes.
Okay. Diesel or gas? What are you thinking?
Preferably diesel, but we'll see what the money allows. And even searching for used would be an option as well if we could find something that was in good enough shape.
And what do you think the longevity of this vehicle projected?
10, 12 years, maybe more. I mean, we don't have many brush fires, but when we do need to get off road, we need a vehicle that can do it.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Yep. So do we have a motion to approve this $70,000 capital investment tentatively?
I'll make a motion to approve the $70,000 capital improvement tentatively.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty. And next, we have general government. There is this server upgrade technology improvement for $25,000, and there is not a phone system replacement. That's gonna get us through okay?
Yeah, so the request, many of our applications have moved to a cloud base, our tax system, our assessor system, the municipal court, and I think that works well for us as long as we can access it. So currently, as you may be able to tell, our challenge is our internet connection. If we could improve that internet connection, the world would open up to us with regard to being able to decommission or take down the usage of our in-house servers. So we have been working hard on encouraging the state to invest in technology upgrades, particularly in allowing us access to the fiber network that runs directly in front of Town Hall. There is even a cable hanging off the pole. Unfortunately, right now, the cost to connect just to run that line to Town Hall is estimated at over $22,000. So we are working with Commerce to see if there is a way that we can apply for grant funds. So the intention would be to utilize at least some of these funds as a grant match, and also as to fund the ancillary improvements that would have to happen to access that fiber. If we can bring the fiber into Town Hall, there was already fiber laid between Town Hall and Government Center. So we would be able to utilize that to go over to Government Center, and also that would greatly improve our access to our camera system. Instead of having to have so many server improvements to support the camera system, we would be able to run it all off the fiber network. So that's the intention with this line item, is to use it to access fiber and to allow us to continue migration to the cloud. And let us have a whole meeting without people getting bounced off.
Oh, imagine that. All righty. Any other questions?
Make a motion to tentatively approve the capital for the general government in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. General government, done. Tax assessor, $24,730 has been requested for revaluation. You talked about that in your previous budget request.
This is the remainder of the revaluation.
Okay. You have a motion for that amount tentatively?
Sure, I'll make a motion for tax assessor capital expenditure, $24,730.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so is this total equipment replacement of 277,430? What does that cover?
That's gonna be new because we added for the sweepers.
Yeah, so we need to,
Yep, so the total is 1 million, for the equipment replacement is 402,430.
okay. And then what's the other number, just so we have them both?
The total capital expenditures is 1,404,430.
Oh, just like it says. I'm looking
Okay,
down.
I'll make a motion for the total equipment replacement in the amount of $402,430.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and
And
then final,
I'll make a motion for the total capital expenditures in the amount of $1,404,430.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Very well. And finally, we have the bond issue approval for open space. That's not on there, so never mind. So we have a total capital expenditures and bonds. That's going to be the same because we didn't add anything there. So we are done with capital. Finally, or next is revenues. Now, the question is, do we want to, what we have left to address in our budget workshop from the operating is grants and contributions and boards and commissions, and then revenues and wastewater management. Do we agree to put a lid on tonight? It's a few minutes before 9.
I think we're a little better than halfway through, so.
Yeah, I would completely agree that we are well over halfway through. So would the rest of the council agree to pause here and complete this starting next Monday?
As your pleasure, Madam President, I'm fine.
All righty. And we will get new budget documents to reflect what we accomplished this evening. And if, something between now and then happens at the federal or state level, we'll know then too.
Just to double check, nobody in the public had any comments? Bob or Kate?
Yeah, there's nothing in the chat.
There's nobody, no.
Okay, perfect. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I didn't think so. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for.
Good night, good night, good night, Joe, good night, Brad, good night,
Night,
Kate,
everybody.
Tony.
Good night.
Gary, good night.